Good morning, everybody. And we are talking about stimulus checks. Donald Trump just announced $2,000 stimulus checks this morning. U.S. President Donald Trump on Sunday pledged to distribute $2,000 tariff dividend checks directly to most American citizens, asserting that the plan will be funded entirely through the nation's booming tariff revenues. The announcement was made via Trump's Truth Social account, coming as his trade policies face a critical legal test before the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. The stock market, especially small caps, when these stimulus checks hit, okay, there's going to be a lot more money in the economy. And remember what happened last time when there was a lot of money floating around in the economy. Do you recall? And part of this was because of COVID. People were at home and they had a lot of free time. And so, yes, a lot of people were taking their money and putting it directly into the stock market, directly into Robinhood from the stimulus checks. And I did the same thing because I was trying to build wealth at the time, and it worked out. I was able to make a six-figure profit with some of the money that I was getting from the stimulus checks, believe it or not. And that just shows you how crazy the market was at that time. Now, if we get $2,000 stimulus checks to every American, obviously this is not COVID like in any fashion, where people are just sitting at home and they're gambling on apps and they're putting money in Robinhood and buying call options and buying penny stocks and crypto. It's different, but at the same time, this is going to dramatically increase liquidity because we all know Americans love to gamble. And I'm not saying investing is gambling, it's much different. But certain high risk activities Americans are accustomed to. Let's just say that. And I'm a risk taker too. In the financial markets, I like to take risk because with risk, if you take asymmetric risk, large bets that can potentially pay off in a massive way, then it can really grow your portfolio, right? You can get that 10 bagger, the 10x return. We talk about that a lot. We've had many of those on the channel. But when we're talking $2,000 stimulus checks, you have to know that some of this money is going to end up directly in the equity markets. And if that's the case, liquidity on top of the interest rate cuts that we've already been seeing, it's going to increase quite dramatically. Now, what have I been mentioning about small caps and how they have been oversold? Well, one of the things I've been mentioning is that I believe small caps need to really catch up to the mega tech companies that have already gone parabolic. We've already seen Nvidia, we've already seen Palantir, we've already seen these massive conglomerates, especially Nvidia, especially Amazon. All these companies go to the moon. Now it's time for small caps again. And if this comes to pass, I think we're going to see one of the biggest potential rallies in indexes like the S&P 600, the Russell 2000, 3000. They're finally starting to make some moves, but it's been a long time. I think this could be a parabolic move for small caps, not just the indexes, but the individual stocks. But of course, with those indexes and the individual stocks and the ETFs and everything, it's all going to go up together. But there's going to be a lot of individual small cap stocks with these $2,000 stimulus checks. Some of this is going to make its way directly into the stock market, and therefore there's going to be a lot of one-off 2,000% return, 1,500% out of nowhere, right? There's going to be a chain reaction, and that's what we saw last time. Now, it might not be as pronounced as it was during COVID, because remember, people were at home doing nothing. But you talk about more liquidity, you talk about interest rate cuts, and this just came out a couple hours ago, okay? So this is brand new. In his Sunday Morning Post, President Trump said the United States is taking trillions of dollars through tariffs and will soon begin paying down our enormous $37 trillion debt. He added that a dividend of at least $2,000, at least, and that's the other thing, at least $2,000 per person, excluding high-income earners, would be paid directly to Americans. And I'll tell you this, if I get an extra $2,000, where am I putting it? I'm putting it directly into the equity markets. I am. And I'm putting it directly into small cap stocks that I'm invested in, that I want to invest in. Okay, so I'm a perfect example of what I plan on doing if I get a $2,000 stimulus check. I'm not going to go take a vacation. I'm not going to go to the casino. I'm going to put it into the financial markets, because at least in the financial markets, you have a better chance, in my personal opinion, of making money than going down to the casino or going down to the slot machine at the local five and dime, or in Illinois, for example, we have slot machines everywhere. It's crazy. Every gas station you go to, there's a casino basically. But the point is, if this money makes its way into the economy, it could have a very big stimulatory effect. And I think people are underestimating. Now, like I said, the one difference, and also there's a lot of other differences too. The economy is not nearly as strong, I don't think. When I talk about the job market, that's what I'm thinking about. The job market's not nearly as strong. So you could argue people have been getting laid off. And this would help to buffer the blow for those people who are being laid off. Because Trump has to know, the administration has to know that hundreds of thousands of people are being laid off right now across numerous companies. So there's a lot of pain out there. So it's not going to be like exactly like it was during COVID. But I'm trying to make the comparison because that's the last time we had these stimulus checks. And we know what happened when those stimulus checks came out and the Fed dropped interest rates. And if the Fed keeps on dropping interest rates, people talk about an AI bubble. People talk about all this stuff, and I do too. And it's going to pop eventually. But the one thing that I've mentioned is that it can go on a lot longer than people think. The mania can continue on a lot longer than people think. And so you just have to remember that when it comes to this type of stuff, we are looking potentially at, especially if these tariff stimulus checks come out and some of this money makes its way into the equity markets, we could be talking trillions of more dollars in the economy, not just in the financial markets, because not everybody's going to do what I'm going to do and put it directly into my Roth IRA. But, if you, for example, trying to think here. So anyway, you get the point. You get the point. So it's like some of this is going to end up, people are going to be paying down credit card debt. Some people are just going to need the money for bills. Some people are going to gamble it down at the casino. Other people are going to put it into their Robinhood app. Some people are going to be doing call options, right? But some people will take a vacation, whatever it is. But this will have a massive stimulatory effect. And it also have a highly inflationary effect. And that's my concern as well. Asset prices can go up, but what happens on the back end? We saw what happened during COVID after 2021. Inflation through the roof. Okay, so this is my concern as well. Although not to the degree that it was during COVID, because during COVID, demand also shot through the roof. People were sitting at home. We didn't have supply because everything was shut down. So there was a supply-demand imbalance. That was also part, I think, of the, too much money chasing too few goods, but also we had supply constraints. So it was a double whammy during COVID. So I think the supply chain is in a healthier place than it was, right? And I think there's some differences, but there's also some similarities between then and now. Regardless, I would still expect this to have a highly stimulatory effect on the financial markets, including the stock market, if this in fact comes to pass. So I would love to hear what you guys think. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This literally just came out. So yeah, Sunday morning, $2,000 tariff dividend that will be distributed directly to the majority of American citizens. Interesting. I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Thanks so much for tuning into this Sunday morning video, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care out there.